Welcome back to the bubble, ladies and gentlemen, and a replay commentary of Cossacks 3. And I have been looking forward to this replay commentary for quite some time. It is a 4 versus 4, and I had the great privilege of being teamed up with probably two of the best players that we have in the Discord, most specifically Chris and also the notorious Milkman. Let's just go through all of the players that we have today and go through which factions and which players and which colors, etc. So it will be easier to keep track. Starting on the top left, we have Chris, K2is, that's Chris. In green, playing as France. And then in the middle top lane, we have me. In red, playing as Prussia. In the top right pocket position, we have Milkman playing as Austria. And our frontline player, V6, let's just call him V6, plays as Ukraine in the middle right. And let's go see our opponents. Their frontline player, Nikitos, playing as Bavaria in pink. Bottom left pocket player is Mr. Blue playing as Prussia, and in the middle in orange we have R2 Hack playing as Ukraine, and bottom right in purple we have in purple, bottom right is Nikitos, pink is Ohotnik. So Ohotnik as Bavaria and Nikitos as the Netherlands. And like I said, I've been looking forward to record this replay commentary for quite some time, so let's not waste any more time but get right into it. I do recall this being a pretty long game, so make sure you have some snacks and drinks ready, and let's enjoy the ride. And I will try to go through as many of the players as possible, but seeing as we have 4 versus 4, it's going to be quite a bit to go through, trying to jump between all the players. Chris is starting with the basic town hall, mill, storehouse, and then he's gonna go for a fast market. If we go over to Milkman, he was a little bit faster on getting his market up and running. I guess some more fortunate positioning of the storehouse and not as much idle time. But the market is up. Then he queued in the second town hall, queued in the blacksmith, and then while he's waiting, he's already traded iron and coal for stone and wood, and the first one to trade gets the best rate. So it's important to get the market up as fast as possible so that you can trade and get those juicy bonus rates. Third town hall up and running and already starting to work on the mines as well as the barracks. Milkman is always a very good player when it comes to openings and also late game, etc. He's just a very good, well-rounded player. Bottom right, Nikitos, he hasn't been able to get his market up and running yet. Doesn't look like he even has a store or house, or does he, behind the town hall? I don't think he does. But you really need a storehouse fast as possible, my man, so you can get the market up and running. In the middle, R2 Hack as Ukraine. Looks like he has a pretty good handle on things. 2 town halls. He needs to trade for the third one as fast as possible. And really get that peasant production going as fast as possible. And Mr. Blue in the corner, he already recognizes his role as a pocket player to send his troops up to the frontline player, Ohotnik. So he set his spawning points of the musketeers to his or her base. And now he's getting the academy, much more spread out base than we're used to seeing. Although he has found 2 gold mines, most likely it's going to build on his third any second now. And we see again that the storehouse is positioned a bit wrong. And actually, he doesn't need a storehouse here because the peasants will drop off at the top corner of the town hall instead. And that's a lot quicker than for the bottom ones to go up. But maybe he's just trying to get them to go to 2 different resource points. But that's, of course, a good tip, that the town halls also work as a storehouse in that sense. And just remember that they drop off at the top corner here. And let's see if I think I can check every player except number 8, which is Mr. Blue. Because if I press 8, I will just interrupt my recording, and that won't be a good time for any of us. But now we're checking on Ohotnik. Starting to build his third town hall, a bit late on that. Instead, he focused more on getting more troops out. That's why you want to go with 2 barracks before the third town hall. But It's with 20 minutes peacetime. It's 20, not 15, so 20 minutes peacetime. It might be worth it to get the third town hall instead of the barracks earlier, because economy is super, super, super crucial, and everything snowballs on you. So the more you build it in the beginning, the more advantage you get later in the game. But he's building standard build, musketeers, etc. Now he's found that gold mine, hasn't started building on the third one yet, and I guess he's still looking for his fourth, wherever that might be. The fourth one is usually 1, 2, 3. The fourth one is usually like really close to the borders, so they might be a bit more difficult to find. Let's check how we are doing point-wise. It's pretty even. Me, Milkman, and V6 are in the lead currently with Milkman. But of course, Mr. Blue is doing really well point-wise, while his teammates are struggling to keep up. But I am trying to build my base a lot more concentrated, starting with the first stable. And I have gotten the wood cutting upgrade, of course, so I sent my peasants to harvest wood as fast as possible. And I also start to work on coal mines as well as my gold ones. It looks like I have found all 4 of mine. I have 30 on gold, so I haven't started upgrading them quite yet. I've upgraded that one and that one, so it's 2 left for me to upgrade. And in the meantime, Chris only has 1 barrack. I think he might try to go for... Let's see if we can check his... There we go. I think he might try to go for fast 18th century, actually. Chris is a very experienced player on 20-minute peacetime, but also playing without a market. So playing with market was a bit different from what he's used to. But I've never understood the charm of playing without a market, because I really depend on it to just stay alive. Being able to trade my resources, that's the only way I can balance my economy. So in that sense, Chris would be much better at getting a balanced economy out and running. And he has a storehouse here because he had wood around it. So that's why the storehouse is positioned as it is. And let's see, I guess that he's trying to go for... We're gonna come back to his base and see what he's trying to focus on. Let's go to Milkman as Austria. Going with the Austrian musketeers. They take a bit longer to train, I think, than ours do. Let's see, 6.5. Maybe it's not that much slower, actually. 6. Okay, so just a little bit slower. But these musketeers, the same way as Spain, they also have good armor bonuses. So they also benefit from the armor upgrades in the blacksmith and in the academy. So these ones also apply to these musketeers from Austria. And now he could afford the woodcutting upgrade, but he got something else, it looked like. I'm guessing that he will get the woodcutting efficiency as soon as possible, or he's just upgrading all of his gold mines. Because the woodcutting efficiency will help a lot when you want to get your stables. So if we go to me, for example, I've already gotten that and all of my food upgrades, so that I can get the cavalry recruited as fast as possible. And if we go down to V6 as Ukraine, he has gotten, let's see if I can get, I think this is him, yeah. He has gotten 3 Cossack houses, so he is mass-producing Serdukes, obviously. That's the only infantry they can build. And also he has 1 stable where he's making the sick Cossacks, who's going to be very useful for raids. Although we don't have capture on or artillery, which means that they will mostly be used to harass dragoons and musketeers when the round shears or front lines of meat shields will be entangled in combat. Then the Sich Cossacks will be able to ride around and attack the ranged troops, who will be very easy pickings, because a lot of us don't upgrade the defense on our ranged troops, which will mean that they will be very susceptible to harassment. And oh damn, I think it's Chris who already got the balloon. 10 minutes in, and he is already in 18th century. It has to be him, doesn't it? Let's see, there he is. Oh, he hasn't gone the 18th century yet. Then who was it who went up to the 18th century so gosh darn quick? Oh, it might actually have been V6 who did that. Because he can't go up to the 18th century. Yeah, he's gotten the balloon already. That's a gold economy, to say the least. Way to go, V6. Very happy to have you on the team, man. 2 stables. Hasn't started recruiting from all of them yet. But apart from that, it's just a basic build with Serduk, 6 Cossacks, and round shears. It's very important to get the round shears to give you a meat shield when Serdukes don't really have a lot of armor. They have very good range though, but they are still very susceptible, like any musketeer unit is, very susceptible to melee damage. Point-wise, I am actually almost in the lead, just behind Mr. Blue, who seems to be doing a great job, although he has a very spread out civilization or spread out infrastructure, let's call it that. But here, he's built the town hall so they can drop off the wood right at the top corner. That is a beautiful position for the town hall. You might feel, as a beginner, that it's better to put the town hall on top of the resource, so they can go directly to harvest wood or stone or whatever you want. But it's much better to put them below so they can drop it off a lot quicker instead. Although I'm not really sure about this positioning of the storehouse, but it's going to be useful when they start chopping wood on this northern little forest there. And he is actually making light infantry instead of round shears. I'm guessing that that is why he's gotten more points, probably, or because he just has a better economy than all of us. But I can't check his stats because that will interrupt the recording. We have a little more than 6 minutes, almost 7 minutes left of peacetime. And they have a massive army here, and I'm guessing that me and Chris will need to team up here, and hopefully we'll get some help from Milkman if Milkman doesn't want to go to V6's base. Make sure that he is protected. He has started to make formations, so is Mr. Blue. Let's see, I don't think I've started doing that yet, but if we just look at our terrain a little bit here, there aren't many hills. Nothing that Chris can use to defend his base with. I have this little hill here that gives some range advantage. Not a lot, but some. We also have this one. In case they would overrun Chris, then I would be able to defend from that point. I actually have a couple of hills. And Milkman has another one here. And let's see, also another great hill here. But V6 doesn't have any good hills to give him advantage. If we look at our opponents, oh, this is just beautiful for Nikitos. He can put an army up here and we won't be able to fight it. We won't be able to go through it. We'll have to go around it on the western side. He hasn't found his last gold mine though. So he is going to be way behind on economy. And that affects also like snowballs on you. And R2 Hack is starting to make formations. Looks like 72 formations for his, let's see, for his Serdukes. 36 actually. Yeah, 36. For his Serdukes. Great stuff. It's not going to be similar to the Ukrainian bullet that we saw, but I'm going to stay on V6 view so we can see the whole map and everything that's going on. And this is going to be a very difficult army to face for me and Chris. Two armies all clumped up into formations who join up at the base. So we will need to do something smart here. Probably trying to go at them from two different angles, depending on if they stand on top of each other. Because with these broad lines, you will still be able to flank them if we just micromanage enough. And let's hope we do that. And he keeps sending all of his troops. He hasn't gotten any 18th century barracks yet, Mr. Blue. He does have 4 stables, though. And he's making dragoons out of, I think, all of them. Yes, all of them. And Chris is just massing up his army. Notice that he's playing as France, so he's getting the 18th century dragoons, and it looks like he got the 17th century ones before. You might feel tempted to get the King's Musketeers. Let's see if we can check his view here. Yeah, you might be tempted to get the King's Musketeers instead of the 17th century dragoons. But me and Alex, another guy in the Discord, we actually went through this a little bit. And King's Musketeers, one, they are very expensive to get, 100 gold. And also they take almost twice as long time to recruit as the dragoons. And they have longer reload time. But they do have 3 times the damage than the dragoons do. But now in the early points of the game, it's important to get quantity as well as quality. So that's why it might be a better choice to get the 17th century dragoons, although you might be tempted to get the King's Musketeers. But early on, I don't think it's worth it, actually. But now it's going with the 18th century Dragoons, and they recruit quickly. 10 seconds, same amount as the 17th century Dragoons. So he will be able to mass up quite a few of them before the battles start coming. And we're almost up at the 20 minutes peacetime. We only have a little more than 1 minute left. And Milkman is already starting to move out with his army. And I am moving my troops over to Chris, just because we saw this threat from Ohotnik and Mr. Blue. So we're thinking that they might want to go for Chris's base right off the bat. And if they start to move towards me, then I will just be able to start moving back. But I do need to have an army in Chris's base so that we can counter whatever threat comes our way, or his way rather. I have not gotten an 18th century barrack yet. I have got my 4 stables though, so that counts for something. And also I'm making some priests so they can heal my troops. Now starting on the 18th century barrack. And of course the Prussian 18th century musketeers. I think they're still some of the best ones in the game. Amazing range, good damage. But they might take a bit longer to recruit. Now the peacetime is up, and let's see who draws first blood. So far, it looks like V6 is going to be an aggressive little hedgehog here. He's moving out with his round shears and his set of dukes, and most likely he's going to come with his sick Cossacks whenever he notices some danger. If he's smart here, he's going to go for this hill, because it looks like Nikitos hasn't bothered to fortify it, which will mean that it should be pretty easy to capture it. Yes, he is moving up on that hill, and that's of course going to give him a pretty good range advantage. So let's see. It doesn't look like we have any action going on any other part of the map, so I'm going to keep an eye on this. Putting up on the hill. It looks like he has a pretty wide formation. And here we go. The importance of hill advantage is going to give you much better range. And also, of course, the Serdukes have pretty good range to begin with. But look at this. A lot of Nikitos' troops aren't even able to get shots off before they are mowed down by the Serdukes. It's so important to be able to take the hill. Now, of course, some pikemen came through, but the round shears will be able to fight them off pretty easily. And just like that, the entirety of Nikito's army is dead, while V6's army is still pretty much intact. So it's very important to take that hill, ladies and gentlemen. And now he's moving in. Purple should be pretty much out already, actually. Orange is coming over to help with some of his round shears and Serdukes, but it might be too little too late here. There's no hill for V6 to take, so now it's just gonna have to micromanage, make sure they get into the right position, and also set the correct direction, because if R2 Hack flanks him right here with the broadsides on this angle, then he will be able to kill V6's army pretty easily, actually. It's so important to set the correct direction so you don't get flanked. Don't get flanked, anyone. It's not a fun time at all. But now Nikitos is sending his peasants as well, and they are just getting mowed down. Let's see if V6 is actually able to see this threat coming. He does, and he will put his units into the correct direction. And let's see, does anyone want to go for the hill? They are both trying to go for it at the same time. And now the Serdukes from R2 Hack is starting to shoot, while V6 is just getting into position. And he might have been a bit too... yeah, he was a bit too generous with moving without attacking. So now his army is going to be completely annihilated. And now the sick Cossacks are coming out. Most likely they will go to raid in Orange's base. And look at that. And here comes the sick Cossacks going to raid Orange's base. And although we don't have capture on, they can still cause quite a lot of damage. But it looks like Orange was actually able to defend at least some with his own sick Cossacks, but some sneak through. And the worst case is that they will kill some peasants right now, but that's basically it. So they are trying to run through, but sick Cossacks, they can still be group massed up or ganged up on by peasants. And R2 Hack was actually able to repel that army, and now it might be a good opportunity for Purple to start rebuilding again. But V6 still has a healthy reserve in his base, and look at that, that's the balloon. Of course it is. You see that it is a balloon. Duh. But still on 2 stables. Might want to get some more. But stables are quite expensive for Ukraine. Same thing as they are more expensive for Russia, for example. And on the western side, nothing new here. We are starting to get some lag because there are so many troops on the map. A couple of thousand, I would say, all in all. But we are in position, and so both Chris and me are in position, so we would be able to face whatever threat. Now Pink is coming up, and both me, Chris, and Milkman were, of course, communicating over the Discord during this game. And here we see Milkman coming up. It's important to get these little angles here so you don't face him completely head on. I'm guessing that he will start moving down a little bit, or let Orange start moving up. Now they're getting even more into position, so they can get these broadsides onto each other. Now, who is going to get the first shot off? It looks like Orange is really pushing forward, and he's going to scare Blue away. Blue is moving back to the hill, because remember, hill advantage is crucial. But it looks like he's just going to stand on that hill, and Crisis is averted for now, at least. Now, we see that Pink is starting to move up to my base, so Chris is sending over his army to face that threat. And fortunately, they didn't move towards my base, but now they will be completely caught off guard. No, he was able to get them into line formation fast enough. And in the meantime, I am moving in with my army into Pink's base, because we are guessing that Chris will be able to take this battle. And here we have another beautiful battle. Chris is moving back a little bit with his troops, getting into a better position. And we have another stalemate. Pink will try to move up, try to outmaneuver, but the range of Chris's army is just too great. They will get some free kills there. And now it's all just micromanagement. And now we see that Ohotnik will be caught between a rock and a hard place with my army standing on top of his base and Chris coming from the north. And just like that, his army is pretty much annihilated by Chris, because he was moving without attacking. And just like that, you lose your whole army. And in the meantime, I'm micromanaging my army, trying to get them into the correct position. And this is, of course, a bit difficult, because you have to set the direction on the main map and the location on the mini-map. But now we are going to be able to outflank Mr. Blue's army, but he is quick on moving inside the base to get some cover. So now we will just be cornering him in his army, and Milkman is coming with his reinforcements as well. And just like that, it's going to be 3 armies against 2, and we will be able to outflank them on a lot of different places. And now we see that Mr. Blue is trying to come out to outflank me, but we do not want that. Fortunately, start moving back. And we have Milkman coming in from the east, we have Chris from the north, and me on the northwestern side. I need to start moving down to make sure that I can counter this army. Now I saw that he started coming with this broadside, and I'm starting to redirect my forces. He got some shots off, got some kills on my troops, but now we are making kind of one long line here. And Milkman is facing off against the orange army, trying to keep our eastern flank or our right flank safe. And they are doing a great job massing up their troops, because they are almost going to catch Chris flanked. But he was very good at micromanaging his troops there, and he'll be able to get a lot of free kills. Now I'm moving in from the western side as well, and this is an absolute onslaught. Blue has a lot of light infantry and also pikemen to act as shield wall, or meat shield, whatever you want to call it. But Chris still has a lot of dragoons shooting, so do I, dragoons and musketeers, and we will be able to take down this army, although taking a lot of casualties in the process. But we have more reserves that we are going to send down. And in the meantime, Milkman unfortunately got outflanked here, so he's going to suffer heavy casualties. He might be able to defend here, just because he's actually in formation, but he is suffering great casualties here. I actually think that he will not be able to withstand here, but he will lose his army. Fortunately, he has a healthy reserve ready to go, and I'm also sending more troops, reinforcements, to once again attack Ohotnik's base. Like I said, this was such a fun game to play, and all the collaborations that we had was worth a lot. Here we have V6 once again taking the hill. Ohotnik hasn't, or Nikitos hasn't learned from his mistakes, so he still hasn't made sure to hold this hill, which means that V6 will have just another perfect opportunity to mass up his army and defend easily, although I don't know why they're not shooting down here. That's really, really weird. But now they're moving down, and they will be able to clear out Nikito's base pretty easily. And now I am starting to get into position to attack from the eastern side. In the meantime, Chris is amassing his army in the northwestern side, so we will be able to get a bit of a pincer. But I was a bit hot on the trigger and started moving in from the east right away. But it still looks like I have the numerical advantage, and in the same time, Chris will come in and outflank these poor dragoons from Ohotnik. And now we can see that Chris has started to shoot. He could move a bit closer, though, and so could I, of course. But now Mr. Blue is coming with more reinforcements, and this is an opportunity for them to outflank me instead. The ones of you who say the Cossacks isn't a strategic game or tactical game, think again, because all of these things matter. It's not just about numbers, it's about strategy and tactic and being able to outflank your opponents. There's a lot of motor skills as well. But now we are moving in, wiping out Ohotnik. And he hasn't given up quite yet, because most of his buildings are still alive. You can see them giving up when all their buildings start exploding. But now we would just need a couple of archers or grenadiers, something to destroy buildings, because we don't have capture and we don't have artillery. But now at least Pink's base is covered. Orange's or purple base is also going down by V6. And in the meantime, Milkman has just been running between where he's needed, basically shielding us a lot from Orange. And now when he sees Orange army moving out, it would be a good idea for Milkman to push into their base. And it looks like that's going to be what he will do. Because in the meantime, me and Chris has a very strong foothold in Ohotnik's base here. And now I'm starting to move down on the southern side of his base to make sure that I defend against whatever Mr. Blue has in store. He's massing up all his troops in the center of his city, because that will, of course, make it easier to defend, not running out. You won't get raided anywhere. And now we see Ohotnik's starting to rebuild his base in Mr. Blue's base. Good stuff, of course, not giving up. Must applaud that, although usually I just give up. But I have stuck in there a couple of times, and every once in a while I win in doing so. His military buildings are going down, and that's because, of course, they are more expensive the more you build. So destroying them there will mean that he's able to rebuild them at original price down here, and he can start rebuilding his army once again. I have quite a lot of reinforcements here. Now we're starting to see some 18th century musketeers. I don't think I had any of those in this army, but I'm starting to build them here, and that will be a lot of fun to use. Let's see if we can check the stats on those bad boys. 37, 100. 37, 100. Okay, so they have much more damage, and they have more health than the basic 17th century musketeers. It's unfortunate that you can't see the range on the range on the unit detail sheet. That would be good. Like range here, or reload time as well. That would be great to see, get a clear overview. And now Milkman is moving down with his army to face Orange, who pulled back his reinforcements from Mr. Blue's base. He's leaving him alone, all left out to me and Chris. And now Chris has sent grenadiers who's going to destroy the mines. And that's, of course, super important to choke out the economy as much as possible. I'm guessing that these are actually 18th century grenadiers, not from the Diplo Center. Yeah, that's true, actually. So those are 18th century fully upgraded damage-wise grenadiers, and those grenades, damn, they are like throwing nukes. They melt away buildings in seconds. So difficult when an enemy has started getting a lot of those bad boys, because they will just destroy your buildings in the blink of an eye. That's why it doesn't need too many of them, and it's still just able to destroy everything. And now we have a massive united army that's going to go against Mr. Blue. And in the meantime, we have a battle here between Milkman and R2 Hack. You can see that they shot down the Sich Cossacks and the Serduks before they could really do anything. And now it's not much left. to defend that base. We can see sick Cossacks suiciding and buildings destroyed, and I think that is a surrender from the orange player. And in the meantime, it looks like purple still hangs on. Looks like he still hangs on, otherwise his building would be destroyed. Buildings would be destroyed. And we're gonna see more buildings destroyed by orange now, as it was a GG. And we can see the mass of Milk's army. He has Pandurs, who are, of course, the, I guess, the Austrian version of the Jaegers, or the Chasseurs, or Volunteers, or whatever. 18th century musketeers without bayonets, basically. Who, when you upgrade the firepower on those bad boys, still pack quite a punch. And now we can see me and Chris is moving into Mr. Blue's base. And now we will be massing up a giant army. And we are also going to form just one big ass line here. Now we are going to merge our armies into one big formation that's going to be very difficult to break through. And now we are joining up right here and turning around and facing Mr. Blue's Hussar charge. He is able to reach us, but we have bayonets and we have round shears and we have all kinds of stuff to face that. And now we will just be too many troops for the blue player to face all on his own. And that is great teamwork, ladies and gentlemen. So now we are moving into his base, and most likely he's going to surrender quite soon as well. We can see purple has GG'd out. Same thing for orange. Now it's just pink left and Mr. Blue. And pink has some forces, but nothing that's going to be able to take us out. Now Mr. Blue has GG'd out, and it's just the pink player left. And now we have a GG surrender from him as well. This was so much fun. Collaboration, teamwork, all the synonyms for that word. It makes it so much more fun to play, and also it makes it a lot easier to coordinate your attacks, to get tips and tricks on your build order, and things like that. And although V6 wasn't part of the Discord, he still really held his own, and he did a great job. We were actually a bit nervous, like, okay, he's the only player building palisades, we can't really get a word out of him. Should we trust him? And yes, the answer is we absolutely should trust him, because he did an absolutely fantastic job in wiping out purple, taking the hill, and also he together with Milkman did a great job keeping orange at bay, while me and Chris fought Ohotnik and Mr. Blue. So thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was a lot of fun to play, and also it's a lot of fun to watch the replays again. You learn some things, and this might have been more of a battle-oriented replay, but I hope you like that as well. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.
The Weird Bubble.